this is Nerdy Low Cosplay, and I'm going to try to do a tutorial for how to make Rey's boots from Star Wars The Force Awakens and from The Last Jedi. The Pozu boots are probably about like $75, which is more than I ever pay for a pair of shoes, so I'm going to try to make my own. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the heel. So this is something I saw from the tutorial, I think. So what I'm going to do is cut out this piece of foam that was like from a bed that my parents bought and kind of size it and like kind of glue it in here so that the heel is flat. Okay? So let me cut out my pieces. So what I can kind of do is glue it and then kind of squish it in here so that it forms exactly the shape so that when I'm done, the boot will look flat. Ta-da! Okay, so I sanded it down. It actually was a little bit more difficult than I thought. I'm going to re-glue some of the end that came off at the very tip. Okay, so there's that. I think I'm going to Mod Podge it so that it seals it. Now that I have the flaps cut out, I need to make the little tabs for the strings. So I have this vinyl that I think I'm going to use to make all the leather parts. So what I did is I cut out these sort of rectangles about this big, and now I've kind of sewed together the vinyl so that I'm going to have tabs. And that way I can sew it on to my wool flap. So I did one side of it already. And so I have my little tab here. I sewed it along, left a little bit of space in the middle for the cord. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew here 4 on each of these. I'm actually just going to cut here and here so that it kind of opens like that, because that's actually how our shoes look, and that should give me the freedom to kind of try to start gluing on the flaps to the actual shoe. I think I'm going to try to make a pattern by using masking tape and taping masking tape around the shoe, and then drawing on the shape. I don't know if this will work because I've always had trouble patterning curves. Pattern. And then I'm folding it to make sure it's symmetrical because I don't want differently sized. Ta-da! Now we're going to see if we can put it on the vinyl. Okay, so I tried that, but I don't really like how it turned out. So what I'm thinking I might honestly just do is not bother hemming it, and maybe since the very tip of that looks kind of white, I might just like paint it so that you can't see it, because it'll be way easier to get the right curve that I want if I'm not having to worry about hemming it. So we'll see how that works. I can always take it off if I don't like it. So the next thing I'm going to do is try to make this strip along the back of the boots. And so that's about like an inch wide, and it needs to be tall enough that there's a tab up here, and then it can kind of do like a loop thing down. So I'm going to do that now and just kind of cut it and eyeball it. I made these strips, and again I hemmed them so that they have a nice edge. However, I think what I'm going to do to get that shape, that there's kind of like this shape, is I left a bit of this unhemmed. And what I'm actually going to do is draw the shape and then just sew two pieces together. So obviously then the edges are going to be kind of unfinished, but I think that's okay because she's a scavenger. So I'm assuming it'll be okay, and then I'll probably just paint the hem so that it looks a little bit darker. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just freehand draw that. Next thing, this part is going to kind of go in here. And so this actually needs to be a little bit narrower. This is going to need to fit in here, and then hopefully I can kind of sew the last flap around it. And then I'm going to trace the shape so we can have it on both sides. Okay, do you see how that's double-sided? So I'm going to sew the two pieces together. So here's my first little tab. I'm going to snip off the edges so you can see less of the white. So I think what I'm going to do is pin it to the wool on the back. So this is if it goes like this on the shoe, I want this to kind of stick up here. So I think I'm going to have my tab be like this long. And the next part, I need my heel, because it is actually sewn to the heel. Okay. So I need to measure it on my shoe then. Okay. So if the shoe goes here, that means this part, it's gonna go. So the tab's on the back. I don't know how much of this you guys can see. Use some more pins to hold it in place because I feel like the bottom keeps moving. So we're going to sew it right here for now. Just do that. Okay, sewing time. I'm going to run out of brown thread. Okay, so now this is all adhered. So what I'm going to do is kind of pop it like that. I see there's like extra here, so I'm going to cut it. So we can't have extra in this spot or it won't bend properly. So one stitch across the side, and then I'll do round it out. So I'm just going to cut it. And then the extras just kind of gonna go in the bottom. Why? Who knows? This is just how our shoes are. So then it just kind of gets sewed down there. See? Shoe back one. Time for the next one. Right now I'm cutting slits in the hole because I'm going to want to hem it, the wool, just so it doesn't fray before I pin it to anything else. Okay, so I don't want to sew the vinyl to the front flap. So I think what I'm going to do first is actually start gluing to the shoe. Yeah, so it would go back flap, front flap, then this part. You can see kind of on the thing, there's like a seam, like a really wide seam that goes all the way around. So I'm going to do that first. I think I'm going to use super strong glue. So I'm just going to cover this part with epoxy, or E6000. Okay, so this will need to dry overnight, and we'll see if it works. I just kind of sewed like a couple stitches here, a couple stitches here, a couple here, a couple here, and so on to get the shape that I wanted. Next, what I did is I used a little X-Acto knife to cut the size that I wanted here, to cut off the excess, and then I put crazy glue at the bottom, and I used a toothpick to kind of press it into the heel here, so that it kind of looks like it's part of the boot and not just that I like pasted vinyl onto the front, okay? Also, I forgot to do this in the first one, because I didn't think of it later, but on this one you can see that I kind of folded the little flap underneath, and it looks nicer versus when I cut it. But that should be okay, because what I'm doing here is I'm painting the white. So I just kind of mixed some brown and tan together. It actually looks fine because her shoes are supposed to be kind of dirty, and it kind of just makes the vinyl look kind of dirty. So right now I'm just putting painter's tape on to protect it, and then just painting those white edges. Okay, what I'm also going to do, I think, is just kind of put a little splotches of the brown on the vinyl, just because I'm finding that it actually gives it a really nice weathered look, and I don't want to have to like remix the paint. So I'm just kind of putting dabs on and then like blurring it.
Creating the dies, recut the tail feathers on the 8 tail feather and made it strong design on top. Those dies, you can easily see the old tail feather from the 8 tail feather. That is the one you get in this set. The strong one is the one that's really desirable, really rare. It's the one you can easily see with your naked eye. Kaylin, show them the 7/8 tail feather that we have here, the strong variety. Here, for example, and then there were no 7/8 tail.
Okay, so now that the side and top is hemmed, I'm just gonna honestly just put epoxy on it, and then it's gonna be tricky because of the shape of the shoe, but I think I can just kind of press it and hold it and it should stay.
But then again, when an uncirculated condition is really...
Alright, so next part. I actually already finished one of the boots. What I did was, after I glued it down, I just kind of took scissors and I cut along the edge, and then I crazy glued it down. I just decided to use crazy glue because it sticks more quickly. So now I'm just going to kind of do it on this boot and kind of show you how the process works. Ta-da! Free shoes. The last part is going to be painting the sole. So I mixed together some paint, and we're just going to paint. Okay, so they're painted, so all I have to do is lace them. And the Rey Boots are finished! I'm actually really pleased. I had no idea how this would turn out, and I think they actually look really nice. Ta-da! Okay, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you are able to make boots that don't cost $150 on your own. Thanks. Bye.